The Deon got that shit on him.
Let me up.
Oh, okay.
This noon, Saginaw police identifying a teenager as the victim following an overnight shooting that left one person dead and another injured. Police say they were conducting a traffic stop on South Washington near Weber just after midnight when they heard gunshots coming from the Quick Stop grocery and liquor store. There, they found a 17-year-old Deon Wiley III with a gunshot wound. He was taken to a hospital where he later died.
Deon Wiley III walked into a senior prom on the night of May 21st, 2026, dressed up, smiling, looking forward to one of the biggest nights of his young life. He was 17 years old. He had 4 days left until graduation. 4 days. And somewhere between that prom venue and a convenience store parking lot on South Washington Avenue, somebody made a decision that ended everything for this kid before he ever got the chance to walk across that stage. If you're new here, welcome to CrimeLab Report. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications because we cover the cases that demand answers. And this one right here, has a lot of questions that nobody seems to be rushing to answer. Now let's get into it. Saginaw, Michigan, a city of roughly 43,000 people that consistently ranks among the top 100 most dangerous cities in the entire United States. More than 98% of Michigan communities have a lower crime rate than Saginaw. That's not a statistic that comes out of nowhere. That's years of economic collapse, disinvestment, and a gun violence crisis that local leadership has not been able to get under control. And on the night of May 21st, going into the early hours of May 22nd, that crisis swallowed a teenager whole. Deon had attended his school's senior prom at SVRC Marketplace on South Washington Avenue early that evening. By all accounts, he was just a kid doing what kids do on prom night. Celebrating, being young, living in a moment that was supposed to be one of the best memories of his life. After prom, like a lot of the young people in Saginaw that night, he ended up at what police in that city have been calling a parking lot party. These are large, informal gatherings where groups of young people crowd into business parking lots. Sometimes dozens, sometimes hundreds of people, taking over the space of the night. Now here's where I need you to really pay attention, because this detail matters. The Saginaw Police Department already knew these parking lot parties were happening that night. They deployed extra officers specifically to patrol the city on Thursday evening because of what Deputy Police Chief Matthew Jarrow described as a recent rash of exactly these kinds of gatherings. And here's what Jarrow himself admitted. When police disperse one of these parties, the crowd doesn't go home. They move. They find another spot, and they pick right back up. So the city knew, the department knew, they had boots on the ground. And Deon Wiley still got SH0T. At approximately 12:15 in the morning, officers who were already in the area conducting a traffic stop heard gunshots ring out from the parking lot of the Quick Stop convenience store at 2034 South Washington Avenue. They were close enough to hear it happen. They responded immediately, and when they got there, they found Deon on the ground, struck by at least one gunshot wound. EMS was called. He was treated on scene and rushed to a nearby hospital. He did not survive. Now, a second victim also showed up at a local hospital that same night with a gunshot wound from the same scene. But here's the thing. This person did not arrive by ambulance. They did not call 911. They showed up at the hospital in a private vehicle. Police have not publicly identified the second victim, have not clarified what their relationship to Deon was, and have released absolutely nothing about the circumstances that connected the two shootings. So somebody else got SH0T in that same parking lot, managed to get into a car, and drove themselves to the hospital without involving law enforcement, and in a scene that allegedly had large numbers of young people present. Not one person has come forward publicly with information about who pulled that trigger. Ask yourself this. If you were standing in that parking lot and you watched a 17-year-old boy get SH0T on what should have been the best night of his young life, could you stay quiet? Because somebody out there knows exactly what happened. And right now, they are choosing silence over justice for Deon Wiley. Deon was a senior at Saginaw United High School. His graduation was scheduled for Tuesday, May 26, 4 days after he was killed. For days. Think about what that means for a second. His family had been planning that moment. His mother, his people, whoever showed up to cheer him on, they were already looking forward to watching him walk across that stage. Instead, by the time that Tuesday came, they were planning something else entirely. And the city of Saginaw put up a memorial banner with his face on it near the corner of East Genesee Avenue and South Franklin Street. Because that is what Saginaw does. It mourns. And then the cycle continues. Because here is what the data tells us. Deon L. Wiley III is Saginaw's 7th homicide of 2026. 7th, we are not even halfway through the year. Of those 7 victims, 6 were killed by gunfire. All but 1 were male. The youngest victim on that list is now a 17-year-old boy who just came from prom. And not one of those cases has produced the kind of community-wide reckoning that a statistic like that should demand. I've been researching this case, and one thing keeps standing out to me. This is not the first time Saginaw has seen a teenager S80T around prom season. Back in 2013, over a decade ago, a 17-year-old girl was killed and 3 women were injured at a Saginaw parking lot gathering tied to prom night. And the police sergeant who responded to that scene said something that has stuck with me since I found it. He said, and I'm quoting directly here, "Every year, we usually have an incident of some sort. Shots fired the year before. A fight the year before that." He said that in 2013. And here we are in 2026 watching the same city, the same type of gathering, claim another teenager's life. So my question is this: at what point does a pattern become a policy failure? Because what we are talking about here is not just one tragic night. We are talking about a city that has been bleeding for years, and a system that keeps applying Band-Aids to a wound that needs surgery. Saginaw's violent crime rate is 5.07 times higher than the Michigan state average. It is 6.13 times higher than the national average. The chance of becoming a victim of violent crime in Saginaw is 1 in 46. 1 in 46. That means if you live in that city, violence is not a distant possibility. It is a statistical reality that follows you to the grocery store, to the gas station, and apparently to your senior prom after party. And the state of Michigan is not making it easier to address. Michigan does not require background checks for private long gun sales. There is no red flag law on the books. Proposals have been introduced, debated, and stalled. Meanwhile, teenagers are dying in convenience store parking lots while wearing their prom outfits. Now I want to talk about the investigation, because this is where things get frustrating. As of the latest reporting, no arrests have been made. No suspects have been named publicly. No motive has been released. The Saginaw Major Case Unit, which is a joint task force between Saginaw Police and Michigan State Police detectives, is handling the case. They are reviewing surveillance footage and collecting witness statements. Tips can be called in to Saginaw Police at 989-759-1289 or anonymously through Crime Stoppers at 1-800-422-5245. And that anonymous tip line matters, because in a city where silence is survival for some people, anonymity might be the only thing that gets somebody to finally talk. But here is what I keep coming back to as a researcher on this case. There are questions surrounding this shooting that have not been answered and that the public deserves to have answered. So let me lay them out directly. Who is the second victim? This person was S80T in the same parking lot on the same night and transported themselves to the hospital in a private vehicle. Police have not identified them. They have not confirmed whether this person has cooperated with investigators. Are they a witness? Are they connected to whatever conflict triggered the shooting? Because the presence of a second gun 0T victim who avoided law enforcement entirely is not a small detail. That is a central piece of this puzzle that is being treated like a footnote. What actually started the shooting? These parking lot parties in Saginaw have become flashpoints for violence. Just months before Deon was killed, a separate gathering in the city turned deadly when a 43-year-old man was S80T and killed at a block party where someone in the crowd was filmed holding what investigators suspected was an AR-15. Tensions between Saginaw and the neighboring city of Flint have been escalating, with documented incidents of beatings and retaliatory threats. So the question has to be asked, was the violence that took Deon's life random, or was it connected to something already brewing in that city long before prom night. And the third question, the one that I think deserves the most attention, is why did the city's response to these parking lot parties fail Deon Wiley? Because Deputy Chief Jarrow himself admitted that when officers break up one of these gatherings, the crowd simply relocates. They move to the next spot and continue. That means the department's strategy on the night Deon was killed was not a prevention strategy. It was a displacement strategy. And there is a massive difference between the two. You are not making young people safer by pushing them from one dark parking lot to another. You are just changing the location of the danger. So what is the actual plan? Because a teenager is dead, extra officers were already deployed that night, and nobody in a position of authority has been asked to answer for that gap publicly. What makes this case hit differently than a lot of the ones we cover is the timing. Prom night is supposed to be untouchable. It is one of those milestone moments that exists outside of the everyday grind. The night you get dressed up, you take the pictures, you dance. You feel like the future is wide open in front of you. Deon Wiley did all of that. He showed up. He celebrated. He did everything right. And 4 hours after leaving that venue, he was gone. His classmates were supposed to see him graduate 4 days later. Instead, they are grieving. His family is devastated, and the person or persons responsible are still out there living their life like nothing happened. I want to speak directly to anyone watching this who was at that quick stop parking lot on the night of May 21st going into May 22nd. You do not have to put your name on anything. You do not have to walk into a police station. Crime Stoppers at 1-800-422-5245 takes anonymous tips, and there's reward money available for information that leads to an arrest. Deon's family deserves to know who took him from them. His mother deserves answers. And no code, no loyalty, no street politics is worth letting the person who killed a 17-year-old boy 4 days before his graduation walk free. If you know something, say something. As of right now, this case remains open and unsolved. The Saginaw Major Case Unit is actively investigating. No arrests have been made. No suspect have been named. And a community that has already buried 6 other people by gunfire this year is now sitting with the weight of a 7th. The youngest of them all, a boy who had a diploma waiting for him and a whole life he never got to live. Deon L. Wiley III. Remember that name. Because cases like this only get solved when people refuse to let them go quiet. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Saginaw's leadership is doing enough to protect its young people? And if you are not subscribed to CrimeLab Report yet, do it right now because we are not done with this story. We never let them forget.
But Deon got that shit on him.
Let me up.